Okay, look, we need to talk about PMDD. Why do we need to talk about PMDD? Well, from my point of view, there is a cultural conversation which is happening around PMDD at the moment, which includes some key misunderstandings about the condition and which is significantly damaging to those who are suffering with the condition. I want to fill in some missing pieces of the PMDD puzzle and add to the cultural conversation with the intention of helping those who are currently suffering with this debilitating condition. My name is Beth Palmer-Wright. I'm a hormone health coach, a wellness advocate, a former PMDD sufferer and professional oversharer, and I want to say thank you to you for listening to me. Okay, so let's boil this right back initially and just check we're all talking about the same thing. So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's essentially severe PMS. It's basically PMS on steroids. It's a fairly new term. It was coined, it was added to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Depressive Disorders in 2013. It's basically PMS where the mental symptoms are more acute, and the seriousness of the symptoms are what distinguishes it from normal premenstrual syndrome, which is something we'll come back to in a bit. The term dysphoria can be considered to be opposite of the term euphoria. Premenstrual euphoria is a condition I could definitely get behind, but obviously with PMDD the seriousness can't be underestimated. I mean, it can have a massive impact on a woman's ability to be able to function day to day. It can have a massive impact on her relationships, and it can even lead to suicidality. In fact, some statistics cite that up to 15% of PMDD sufferers at some point will actually attempt suicide, and many others are suffering with suicide ideation, so thoughts of suicide are coming up on a monthly basis. So the seriousness of this condition can't be underestimated. So my own PMDD really started after the birth of my first child. Before my first pregnancy, my hormones weren't even really an issue. I wasn't particularly aware of my hormones at that time, and I didn't have a lot of responsibility in life, which I'm sure contributes. But after the birth of my first child, I felt this experience of PMS sort of gradually increasing over the months and the years to the point where it became pretty severe PMS or PMDD. And I had many symptoms, both physical and mental, of PMDD at the time. One of the most difficult ones to deal with was the brain fog. So just this total confusion, like this inability to be able to organise my thoughts in any cohesive manner. So this affected lots of different areas of my life, but one example of this was how I was unable to perform basic functions like getting the dinner on the table. I would literally go to the kitchen and immediately be totally overwhelmed by having to choose something to cook, by the actual cooking of it, by the timings of all the different elements of the meal, by getting it all together onto a plate and serving the dinner on the table. It was basically too much for me at that time of the month. But my main symptom was really the rage, just this all-encompassing rage, which just totally ate me up, and it almost broke us as a family, to be honest. It was basically like there was this screaming inside my head when anyone talked to me, and the only way to stop this screaming inside my head was just to not be communicating with anyone. If I could have been allowed to just sit in a quiet room for 2 weeks every month, it probably wouldn't have been such a problem. But obviously, in reality, that isn't a viable option, especially not when you're a mother and you're working full time and you've got a partner in the house. That's just not a viable plan. So the lowest point of my PMDD was actually when I came to be under the care of the emergency crisis mental health team in my area. I'd essentially had a bit of a breakdown. I was really scared. I was scared that I shouldn't be alone with my children. I was scared that I was damaging them. Just this rage that was coming out of me. I mean, I didn't physically hurt them, but to say they weren't emotionally scarred by the episodes would have been a stretch, essentially. I was scared because I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I didn't know how to move forwards, how to get myself better. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was a magical pill that could fix all of our PMDD symptoms? Well, if you go and talk to a medical professional about your PMDD symptoms, arguably they'll tell you that there is a pill for that. The two main treatment options for PMDD are, first, try out a bunch of hormonal birth control options, and secondly, try out a bunch of antidepressants. And hopefully by some piece of magic you'll find a cocktail of drugs that works for you to alleviate your symptoms enough that you're happy to go with the solution. But for me, this is very much a sticky plaster approach to just managing symptoms. This isn't going to do anything to treat the underlying cause of the condition. It's not going to do anything to improve your health moving forwards. If you're to stop taking this magical cocktail of drugs, you're going to be back to square one with hormones that are all over the place. And basically, it's just making lots of money for greedy pharmaceutical companies who are trying to sell you this as a solution. So for me, I was quite resistant to this as a solution. I felt like the formula was really quite simple. My hormones were fine, then I had a baby, then my hormones weren't fine. So the solution for me was fix your hormones. So if I was to start taking synthetically managed hormones or antidepressants, I knew that wasn't going to do anything to fix my hormone production. It was literally just going to make it harder for me to fix my hormone production moving forwards. Now, if you've decided to go down this route of symptom management and it's working for you, you're not being negatively impacted by the side effects and you're happy with your quality of life, then I'm very happy for you and I hope that solution keeps working for you. However, if you are experiencing negative side effects of these drugs, side effects like weight gain, nausea, digestive issues, loss of sex drive, inability to orgasm, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, irritability, and you're tolerating these symptoms because they appear to be better than the PMDD symptoms that you think is going to be the alternative, or if you're worried at all about the health concerns of using these drugs on an ongoing basis, things like increased risk of blood clots and heart attacks and strokes, then please do know that there is another way. One of the key misunderstandings in the current cultural conversation on PMDD is that it's not due to a hormonal imbalance, and that's very much related to the idea that PMS itself is normal. So let's take a little look at that idea now. Do we really think that PMS was written into the original female blueprint? Mother Nature was there with an evil cackle. Ha ha ha! I will make sure I test her tolerance for discomfort each and every month by making sure she suffers with some combination of acne, headaches, fatigue, brain fog, irritability, sore boobs, sensory overload, to name just a few of the 100 or so different symptoms that are possible with PMS every month. No, the truth here is that PMS is a natural consequence of the diet and the lifestyle choices that we tend to make as a society, and therefore it's become widely accepted. And this kind of feeds into a negative cultural conditioning which we've been subject to, which feeds into a vicious cycle. If we expect it, then we accept it, and then it persists. No. What makes way more sense as an explanation here is that we're living in a world which has developed at such a mind-boggling speed, whereas our own bodily evolution has remained relatively unchanged. So the net result of this is that we're living in an environment which has a much bigger toxic load to the one that we were originally adapted to suit. We're surrounded by toxins. They're everywhere. They're in our food, our water, our products and packaging. We're pumping our animals full of synthetic hormones to maximise their commercial viability before we sell them on for meat. We've got chemicals leaching into our products from the packaging that we're creating. The makeup of our water sources has actually changed significantly because of the water waste of the millions of women who are now relying on synthetic hormone management or hormonal birth control. And all of these things are very much classic endocrine disruptors which are messing with our very delicate endocrine systems. And it's not just this, but also the values, the things that we're valuing in our society, like efficiency, productivity and convenience, we're valuing over our own health and the health of the planet. So many of us are relying on convenience foods which leave our overall nutrition levels woefully lacking. And many of us are unknowingly eating a diet which is contributing to our bodies being in a state of chronic low-grade inflammation. Now, all of these things, as well as the chronic levels of stress that we are suffering with as a society, stress from our demanding jobs and the way that we structure our lifestyle, these are damaging our hormones as well as our health in other ways. So I think it's pretty clear to see that as a society, our general health is pretty poor. So how can we expect our endocrine systems to be working optimally given these conditions? Well, the answer is that we just can't. Basically, if you want to live with balanced hormones, that's something you need to make a concerted effort to create and maintain. Balanced hormones is never going to happen by accident. The way that I see this, Mother Nature is actually doing us an absolute solid here with our PMS and our PMDD symptoms. And the reason for that is that this is her survival tactic. There's a key piece of information that's being overlooked here in the cultural conversation on PMDD, and that is that the menstrual cycle, a woman's menstrual cycle, is one of the primary indicators of her overall health. So if you're having problems with your menstrual cycle, be that PMDD or PMS or something else entirely, this is a big red flag that all is not well in the world of you. This is a message. Your body is trying to get a message across to you that it's not okay. And if you silence it with pills and you ignore it, that message is going to get louder and louder until it escalates into a full-blown health crisis that you simply can't ignore. So PMS here is a timely request from your body for healing. And frankly, if that's not a good survival mechanism, I'm not sure what is. When I decided to go against the advice of the healthcare professionals and of my partner, now husband, I felt like I was literally fighting for my sanity. I felt like I was fighting for my right to do what felt right for me. Sadly, the doctors weren't able to give me any guidance or support or even any encouragement that it was possible to find a natural solution to my PMDD. So I was really on my own with this one. But I basically threw myself, all of my energy, all of my time, all of my resources into researching all aspects of the endocrine system, how it works, what it needs, how to read my symptoms, and basically how to balance my hormones naturally. Now that was a good few years ago now, and what I've learned over the years is that no matter what hormonal imbalance you're suffering from, there is always a natural solution to balancing your hormones. And not only that, but the practices that are used to balance your hormones naturally bring with them the most outstanding and unexpected health benefits, and that's an amazing thing. So now for me at the age of 37, I'm healthier than I've ever been before. I used to dread my cycle, and now I absolutely love my cycle. And now that I've seen the amazing benefits that the menstrual cycle can bring when the hormones are in balance, this has really filled me with a profound passion for sharing this knowledge with other women who are suffering with similar conditions. In fact, this is the reason why I've dedicated my life as a hormone health coach. I provide a digital course, Holistic Hormone Health, which anyone can sign up for, where I detail in an easy to understand way the key information that you need to know about your endocrine system and the steps that you can take to bring balance to your hormones naturally. We cover the physical, the mental and the emotional aspects of recovering from PMS and PMDD, and also discover the hidden treasures of the menstrual cycle. This isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and in the course I enable you to learn how to tailor this approach so that it's exactly right for you. My intention is to empower you to be able to maintain hormone balance moving forwards and to provide an active support community to help you achieve that. If you're interested to find out more about this, then visit my website, follow me on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I am intending to release more videos like this over the coming weeks and months, so stay tuned for those. But for now I just want to say thank you so much folks for your time, for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all soon.